All right, Georgia football 2022 superlatives. I've got a few. These are my personal superlatives, just a few of them that I want to give out. MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, biggest surprise, brightest future, just a couple of things like that. And all of these guys are deserving. And there's other guys on the list that need to be talked about in other ways or were in consideration for these awards. And I'm sure the players care so much about what I have to say about if they got the superlative or not. But Ryan Crowley from Dog Post here talking about 2022 superlatives. Make sure you're checking out Double Dogs real quick. I'm going to show you cool images of some of these guys. Those are going to be in this book that we're close to getting out to you. We're working really hard on it, so make sure you're checking it out. All right. I looked and my slideshow's out of order, so I'm going to bear with me, but I'm going to try to run through this quickly. MVP. Stetson Bennett. And I realize that is not as cool if it doesn't queue up the way I want it to. I don't know why it's out of order. But Stetson Bennett, man. Heisman finalist. Most decorated player in Georgia history. MVP in every postseason game he's played in. I mean, it's ridiculous, his story. It really is. I mean, his numbers this year, 41, most yards ever in a season, 27-7 touchdown interception ratio. He had the 6 total touchdowns in the national championship. He is Georgia, and he was the MVP this year. And I don't know, it's super close. He was the guy. 25 or not, balled out this year. And that's just how it is. Defensive Player of the Year. I'm splitting this trophy up between two guys. One is this guy right here, Jalen Carter. In the moments that really mattered, when he was really needed, he played really well. LSU, he played really well, but the Tennessee game alone, what he did in that game, he played well against Mississippi State, but what he did in the Tennessee game matters a ton for this Georgia team. They don't dominate Tennessee the way they did without Jalen Carter. I mean, he had a hell of a game. The sacks, the forced fumbles. It should have been a safety. I mean, let's be real. That would have been. He would have been a big part of. He proved that he was one of the 5 or 6 best players in college football, and he's probably going to be a top 5 pick in a few months in the NFL draft. The other one's a little bit of a surprise, but Javon Bullard. A guy that not a lot of people talk about, 3-star from Milledgeville, but I'm giving him half of the Defensive Player of the Year award because, dude, his postseason was ridiculous. And defensive MVP of the Peach Bowl and the national championship, the interceptions and the fumble recovery in the national championship. I don't know if details from the national championship will be remembered, but Javon Bullard's game will be remembered. And in the Peach Bowl, he showed up when it really mattered. There were moments. I believe he had a sack. The hit that it's unfortunate that Marvin Harrison Jr. got hurt on this play, but the hit that he put on Marvin Harrison Jr. to save that touchdown in the back of the end zone is super important. It was not targeting, haters. But against Tennessee as well. I mean, the multiple sacks. This is a spark plug kind of guy that Kirby likes to move around in the defensive backfield, and I'm giving him and Jalen Carter the defensive MVP together, even though Smile Amon and Javon Dumas-Johnson, they mattered a lot too. Most versatile, Kenny McIntosh. Hey, that one queued up properly. Kenny McIntosh, most versatile player on Georgia this year, in my opinion. A couple guys. You could have talked about Brock Bowers. You could have talked about Darnell Washington. You could have talked about, Lab McConkey or even Javon Bullard, but it's Kenny McIntosh. These guys, look at this guy's numbers. 150 attempts rushing for 829 yards and 10 touchdowns. 43 catches for 504 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was not just a running back. He was a receiver. I mean, he started off the year with a bang, the Oregon game. He has over 100 receiving yards. He was just a weapon out of the backfield, and he had the year that I knew he was capable of. I think we talked about the running back room a lot. I did in the offseason. What do they have with McIntosh, Milton, and Edwards? What can McIntosh do as the one? I think he's going to be the one. Well, he did, and he did exactly what his skill set is. And he can run and he can receive. 5.5 yards a carry, 11.7 yards per reception. I mean, his numbers were great, over 10 total touchdowns, real impact player. A lot of impact runs and plays he made over the year. Missouri game, I think about the Florida game. Part of the most winningest senior class. I mean, Kenny McIntosh was a big deal. All right. Biggest surprise, I'm going with Daijun Edwards, his backfield mate. I thought Milton was going to be the 2, and injuries are kind of why he wasn't. A better way to put it is, I knew Daijun Edwards was good, but I didn't realize how good he was when he's consistently on the field. He's a bruiser. He's a good closer running back. If you just need to give it to someone that can pound it a few times. The 7 touchdowns, game-winning touchdown against Missouri. He ran really hard, and he had a few explosive runs that were impressive this year. And his 769 yards, I feel like, may have been the quietest 769 yards I've ever seen. And last, brightest future, Malachi Starks. I'm giving him 2 awards. Freakiest player. I think he's the freakiest player on Georgia. The interception, the chase down tackle against Missouri. The Missouri game matters a lot, guys. Malachi Starks was all over the place this year. 3rd on the team, I believe, in total tackles, if I'm not wrong. Yes, behind the linebackers. And I've been a big Malachi Starks guy for a few years now, and I think he's got the brightest future. Michael Williams came in 2nd for me on that front. That's all I got for you. Make sure you're checking out Double Dogs. Those are my superlatives. Tell me if you disagree with any of those. Links are down below. See ya.